Claude Code is obviously great, but paying for a premium model for every little task, that can get expensive. This 48,000 star open source project lets you keep Claude Code, Codex, or Pi while swapping the model underneath for something free, cheaper, or completely local. It sounds perfect, but Claude Code without Claude is a very different thing. So I installed it and tested it where it actually works. This is free Claude code. Yeah, heck of a name. I agree. Now, clearly, this doesn't replace Claude Code. It doesn't replace Codex. It doesn't replace Pi. Those clients stay exactly where they are. Your terminal workflow stays familiar. The file edits, tool calls, project access, all that stays. Free Claude Code sits in the middle. Instead of Claude Code talking directly to Anthropic, it can send that same request somewhere else. But the interface looks the same. It's a free provider, a cheaper model, or even a model running locally on your own machine, so the agent stays the same. You just get to choose the brain behind it. If you enjoy coding tools that speed up your workflow, be sure to subscribe. We have videos coming out all the time. All right, now I'm on my Mac M4 Pro here. First, I'll run the install script, then start the proxy with FCC server. And that's basically it. The local server pops up and we get this admin interface where we can configure the models we want to use. At this point, Claude Code hasn't changed at all. We've just created a new path between the agent and the model. Now we need something on the other end of that path. Now, for this test, I'm going to use a free provider. That could be something like NVIDIA NIM, a free OpenRouter model, or one of the others that are already supported here. I can just create one. I chose NVIDIA for this. You're going to add the key, pick the model, and save it. That's really all you have to do here. And now we've got a free model sitting behind the proxy. Setup was the easy part. The harder question is whether Claude Code can actually do useful work through this now. So I'll launch Claude Code through FCC Claude. And this is where the idea starts to mess with my head, at least, because nothing looks different. Literally, this all looks completely the same. Same Claude Code interface, same project setup. I get the same tools. Literally, everything is the same. I mean, heck, at the top here it says Opus 5 still, which is has me itching my head, right? But Claude might not actually be answering any of this. If I run model, Opus is still set to default, so Claude Code still thinks it's talking to Anthropic's Opus model. But in reality, free Claude Code intercepts that request and routes it to whatever configured you have in your admin UI. So I used NVIDIA. I've got a React component here that works, but the async logic is messy and the error handling is bad. So I'm going to ask it, refactor this component, add a proper error handling, clean up the async logic, and don't change the existing behavior. Now we're going to find out whether this is actually useful. It's reading through the project, it's inspecting the component, it makes edits, it's using the same kind of workflow that I would expect from normal Claude code. And now it's finished. That loading state is cleaned up, the error path is handled properly, and the original behavior is still there. So for this job, this worked. But that's also a key important takeaway. The interesting part isn't that another free model can edit code. We've had that for a while. The interesting part is that I didn't have to change the way I work to use any of this. I'm used to Claude Code. I'm still using Claude Code. Or am I? Because think about how many things you could ask a coding agent to do that you probably don't need Opus 5 for. Rename a few things, write boilerplate, explain a file. These are all very simple tasks. If one of those requests goes to a premium model, you're paying premium prices for pretty ordinary work that a free model could ultimately do. With this setup, those jobs can go somewhere cheaper, like I said, somewhere completely free, and you can save the stronger models for the moments where you actually need it. Now, keeping Claude Code's interface does not magically make your local model better. If the model struggles with tool splitting or long tasks, the nice interface that is Claude Code, it's not going to save it. That's going to matter in a minute or two as soon as you fire that up. The workflow I find more interesting is this. Don't pick one model for everything. Use stronger models when the task is hard or free or cheaper models when it isn't. A lot of us are already doing this, right? Free Claude Code has tier routing for exactly that with a familiar interface. I don't have to learn something new. I can use Claude Code. I can now choose models that are not Anthropic models. Now, this raises the obvious question, okay, Why not just use OpenRouter? That is an alternative here. Because that's just solving a different problem. OpenRouter is a generic routing layer. They give you access to lots of models behind common APIs. Free-claude-code is much more focused on coding agents, and specifically on making those existing clients work with models they weren't originally built around. So instead of saying, here's a brand new coding agent, learn this, now we're saying things like keep the agent you already like, Claude Code. That's a much smaller change, and for day-to-day work, smaller changes are often the ones you actually keep using. And once you think about it this way, the routing feature makes more sense too. Different model tiers, fallbacks, different providers, different models for different jobs, instead of every request automatically going to the same expensive model. We now get some control over where the work goes. That's the real value here. Not Claude for free, because that would be a mistake. It's deciding when you actually need Claude level intelligence and when you're just paying for it out of habit. Now, would I actually use free Claude code? I don't know, right? It was fun to play around with. I mean, I get the whole point. I use Claude code all the time, so I don't want to have to learn a new interface. That makes sense. If you have a Max subscription, you probably don't even care unless you're constantly hitting your limits. Though if you have a basic Claude subscription, and understand Claude Code well, then this actually might be better. You can keep using what you already know, but switch the models for a lot of that load. I wouldn't replace Claude with this at all. I'd use it to stop wasting Claude if you're on one of those cheaper plans. Then, when I hit one of those big bugs or a task that really needs strong reasoning, that's when I'd spend money on the better model. Saving a few bucks is cheap, only until the cheaper model creates an hour of cleanup. So reliability matters more than token cost at that point, and that's really where we should draw the line. So this isn't really free Claude code. It's more useful than that, but it's just that interface that we get. It's Claude code with a choice of brains. I've dropped everything you need down below. If you enjoy coding tips and tricks like this, be sure to subscribe to the Better Stack channel. We'll see you in another video.